Welcome back to my Spanish kitchen. This is where I make super tasty dishes, all based on Spain's incredibly healthy Mediterranean diet. So if you're interested in learning some classics, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below and join me today as we make albóndigas con salsa almendra, or meatballs with almond sauce. Now meatballs, they're really common. You'll find them in tapas bars, cafes, and restaurants. But almond sauce is a little less common. It's an incredibly silky smooth, elegant way to present a rather rustic dish. But we're doing it today because we want to celebrate the almond harvest. It's going on right now in our valley. There's tens of thousands of trees out there, and whether they're being manually harvested or using big tractors with giant umbrellas that shake the trees and gather all the fruit, that's what's happening. So I thought we'd have fun celebrating the almond and making this great dish. So let's go. There's a total of 2 pounds of meat, 1 pound of freshly ground beef, and look at this. I got this from the butcher this morning and they ground it up for me, so it's very fluffy and very light. And the next ingredient is going to be 200 grams or a little less than a half a pound of chicken. Now you could use veal, but they didn't have veal today, so I went with chicken. And then one of my favorites, this is pork, but it's not just any pork, it's Iberico pork. Very special, incredibly tasty, and only found in Spain. 2 to 3 ounces of fresh breadcrumbs, at 60 grams, and dried breadcrumbs. What you'd find probably at your grocery store is going to be the seasoned breadcrumbs. That would work great. I didn't happen to have any, but I do have homemade breadcrumbs, so I'm adding 40 grams of homemade breadcrumbs. Then for seasonings, I've got 2 tablespoons of finely chopped parsley, 2 teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of fresh ground pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground nutmeg. I love the flavor of nutmeg. Especially in a meatball, it just adds a little richness to it. And 2 very finely chopped garlic cloves. The final ingredient is 1 egg. And an egg helps to give a little binder to it. And then I'm going to add a secret ingredient, and that is a recommendation from Ina Garden to use warm water. And I'm going to use 90 milliliters of warm water. Let's add that. This is going to be so good. I like to use a scoop because it helps me get about the right size per meatball. I'm making rather large ones, but these are going to be for our dinner. Here's another trick. I'm not going to cook all these meatballs today. I'm going to freeze them because there's only 2 of us for lunch. So what would we do with all this? But it makes the next party infinitely easier. I've got about a 1/4 inch of olive oil from our farm in the pan. It's nice and hot at 350 degrees. I'm going to gently get these meatballs in. Because there's only 2 of us for lunch today, I'm doing 3 meatballs each. You can see that we're getting a little bit of smoke going. I'm going to lower the temperature just a little bit, but we want to get them nice and brown all the way around. And once they're browned, then we're going to put them in a medium oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. And that's just the amount of time we need to put the sauce together. It's been about 4 to 5 minutes. Everything, as you can see, is beautiful brown. I'm going to gently put these in the baking pan, and then we're going to pop this in the oven. It's going to cook for 20 to 30 minutes. Now that the oven is filled with really yummy meatballs, let's get going on the sauce. It's very simple. I drained off some of that oil, but I've left some in because now we want to toast up or fry these almonds. And we're going to use 100 grams and very gently put the almonds in there. Now that they're brown, and they will turn really quickly, we're going to put them into the blender. And the very next thing to go into the oil is going to be a little bit of garlic. I'm using 3 cloves that I've split in half. Now we'll set that in there. Garlic only needs to be in there for a couple of minutes. And the garlic's done. That's how quick. Our next ingredient to fry up is 1 piece of bread. And our final ingredient is 1 medium onion that I diced in advance. We're going to add this and we're going to cook it in the oil until it's nice and translucent. The onions are done. I'm going to shut off the heat, drain these, add them to the blender. We've got fried almonds, fried garlic, fried bread, and onions. And now what we've added to it is 1 cup of white wine. I'm going to blend it first. And now I'm going to add a cup of ham stock. I don't know if you can get this in the United States or not. It isn't even that easy to find in Spain, but I got my hands on some. And knowing that the meatballs have all that incredible Iberico pork in it, I thought this would be a good addition. So we'll add a cup of stock. We're going to cook this down a little bit as well. And we can also test it as we go. Sometimes I end up adding more stock to it. I'm also going to add some lemon zest, about half of a zest of lemon, just for a bit of hint of flavor. Then there's that incredible, iconic scent from Spain, saffron, the most wonderful herb. And the smartest thing to do with saffron is to soften it in warm water before you add it. And this amount of liquid is a good amount to add. So we've got a really generous pinch of saffron that I'm adding. Saffron's one of my favorites. I feel like I have fresh flowers in the house when I cook with it. We're done with this. This is going to go back in the pan. We're going to heat it until we get a nice sauce consistency. We'll season it with salt and pepper then, but not before, so that we know exactly what we're getting in terms of flavor. And then we're done. Sauce is nice and creamy. I'm going to add it to the pan. The combination of a little bit of saffron and a little bit of lemon really heightens the almond flavor. And of course, toasting the almonds made a giant difference. I'm going to add a healthy teaspoon of salt. I think we're done.